right. Hello, welcome everyone. Thank you for joining our information session with graduate admissions. We're here today to present the Masters of Occupational Therapy on Campus program. My name is Gabby, and I'm the Assistant Director of Graduate Admissions, and I'm thrilled to be here with Dr. Bentley Root, who is the Program Director for all of our OT programs. Welcome, Tracy.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here, Gabby. Hello, everyone.
This presentation will give you an overview of the program, the admissions process, a little information about financial aid, and at the end we'll ask some of your most commonly asked questions. So let's begin. Bay Path University is a private, not-for-profit college that was founded in 1897. We have 3 campuses, one of which is online. We also have our Longmeadow campus and then our East Longmeadow campus. And we have nearly 5,000 students currently enrolled. We also have more than 17,000 worldwide alumni, and we are accredited by the New England Commission of Higher Education. As for the MOT program, we are accredited by the Accreditation Council for Occupational Therapy Education of the American Occupational Therapy Association. The location for the occupational therapy programs is in East Longmeadow at the Philip H. Ryan Center. The program is designed for students with a bachelor's degree in any field. It is 81 credits full-time, and it's an accelerated program, meaning it'll take you around 24 months, including your fieldwork, to complete. It starts once a year in the fall, and courses are held Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. This doesn't necessarily mean you'll always be taking notes from 8 to 5:30, but you will be having classes in that window most days. And Tracy, I'm going to pass this over to you to go over curriculum and the fieldwork.
Great, thank you, Gabby. So our curriculum is designed under what's called a scaffolded model. So the visual we have is the house. So if you think about what we're doing is with your prerequisites in some of the early classes, we're building a nice basement, a good foundation. So you have to have a strong foundation in order to have a quality house that's going to be sturdy and it's going to last you a long time. So think about your education as building that house with which is going to hold your career. So when you look at our diagrams here, it speaks to working from bottom up, foundations of awareness. So that is where we speak to the prerequisites that we require you to take from an undergraduate with your bachelor's, as well as any of the foundational information such as lifespan development, statistics, anatomy and physiology 1 and 2, sociology. And then we move up from there into the awareness and knowledge overlap. And that's where we enter into the true OTP classes. And that's the code for the MOT classes. Introduction and the lab, and then research, and then a advocacy class. So then with the scaffolded design, standards from our accreditor are laced and woven multiple times throughout the program. So we do foundational information, and then we revisit that with some more application of material. So when we go from awareness and knowledge overlap, we move up to building of knowledge, and that's where we're adding in more information such as neuro, adding in the information from neuro application type classes, and then the first in the series, we have 3 series of classes: mental and behavioral health, adult physical disability series, and then the pediatric series. And that's what's represented by 530, 540, and 550. And then we move on to more scaffolding and more application of material. So knowledge and skill overlap, where we get in the second part of the series of each of those 3 that I noted: physical disabilities, the adult classes, and pediatrics, and mental and behavioral health. And then we're adding in, so again, with that scaffolded design, you will start to see some classes being repeated. And that is, again, because the standards are repeated, but to a more higher level of application and depth. So by the time you get to the skill acquisition and application phase, that is when we're talking about the final phases of all of the series classes. the lab components of it, so you acting with all that knowledge and information that you have, so your ability to apply, your ability to demonstrate your clinical reasoning and judgment. These are the phases that are super close to you on your field work or on your field work. So the field works, if you want to go on to the next slide for me, please, Gabby. So the field work level 1. So in our accredited program, we have 3 level 1 field work that give you the opportunity to be exposed to the population where you could be working as an occupational therapy practitioner. So when it comes through locally here in East Longmeadow, we utilize multiple community partners. So some examples are Sensi Play at the JCC, Ruth's House, which is an assisted living center, and then also Willie Ross School for the Deaf. And then intermittently in your own areas where you live in the summer, because in the spring, you're either going to be doing pediatrics or the older adult physical disabilities. And then in the summer, because you're not here locally in the summer session, what will happen is that you will complete your psychosocial rehab level 1 in your own community. So that'll be done by our very supportive fieldwork team, establishing contracts for you, and then also ensuring that you have a robust opportunity to both practice elements of occupational therapy and then also observe other practitioners in roles that you could be holding upon graduation. It's really important, and I just want to say that we emphasize experiential opportunities and community-based learning. So level 1s, yes, you're definitely out in the community, but I also want you to hear that in the didactic courses, the courses that primarily I spoke about on the prior slide, we also have opportunities in those labs where you go out into the community. So CHD, we have a partnership there, and then East Village Place as well, where we take students out into the field during their regular classes to actually practice and work with populations, communities and individuals and groups that will be receiving occupational therapy services. Next slide. Now this is the fun one. So this is the level 2 field work. This is where everything comes into play. You put it all into action, and you are for 2 12-week level 2 experiences out in the community of your choice in an area that meets the needs of a level 2 field work. So you have to have across the lifespan, which means like 1 pediatric, 1 adult, 1 mental health, or 1 mental health or pediatric. You can't do all. The example that always comes into play is students sometimes want to specialize very early, and they all want hand therapy or they all want pediatrics. And we're obligated to prepare you as an entry-level clinician, an entry-level person entering the field. You have to have knowledge across the lifespan, so from birth until the end of life. And we as occupational therapists can affect change at all levels and individuals' ages and where they are. Anywhere that there is a deficit in their ability to perform is an area, or a need for enhancement in an area of performance that we should be working as an occupational therapist. So again, the level 2s are 2 distinct 12-week experiences. Our fieldwork department is fantastic for very highly dedicated individuals who find placements for you, facilitate the contracts for you. They'll work with you to make sure that you are meeting the requirements before you go out on those field works, things such as vaccinations, things such as that, CPR, all that good stuff. And then out to the geographic location of your choice. Right now we have contracts in 35 states. We do actually have one in Hawaii. Hawaii is now blue, or now red, sorry. So I always lovingly say, if you want to go, if you want to go to Montana, we can get you to Montana. We just have to find and establish a contract for you. But the team is dedicated and find those for you where you want to be. So if you have a relative in some beautiful place you want to go visit for 12 weeks, what a perfect opportunity. And I won't get into that any further, but the team meets with you about a year before level 2. Students usually want to know that information about a year before level 2, where we really get to know you the areas in which you're interested and where you actually want to be on these level 2 experiences. Next slide.
Awesome. Thank you, Tracy. As a graduate student and just a student in general at Bay Path University, you have tons of support, not just from the faculty and staff in your field, but also across campus. So you have services like registrar's office, you have graduate admissions, which is my end of things. You have online learning support, technical support. The Hatch Learning Commons is a great resource. The Hatch Learning Center is our library, and they have many fun and helpful resources there. Of course, there's student financial services, accessibility services, and career services. I wouldn't go too far into career services since you will be having the OT team to help you, especially with that field work. And speaking of faculty and staff, here is our wonderful team over at the OT department. As you can see, there's Tracy amongst some of our other professors here at Bay Path. They are your cheerleaders throughout the program. They're here to support you. Any questions you have, you can always ask them once you're here doing the program. And yeah, they're just, I can't say enough good things about them. And then there's also student support. So you have a lot of academic assistance. You have online writing tutors for those essays and papers. You have on-campus tutoring, faculty office hours, of course, and then OT content tutors who are OT students who can help you with material if you are stuck on something. And prerequisites. So going to apply for the program, you have to have these 5 prerequisites, including Anatomy and Physiology 1 with a lab, Anatomy and Physiology 2 with a lab, Statistics, Developmental Psychology, and then a class in Sociology, Culture, or Anthropology. All of these must be required with a B- or higher. And for the Anatomy and Physiology 1 and 2s, those can be no more than 5 years old. And as for the other 3 prerequisites, they have to be no more than 10 years old. You can apply with outstanding classes, but they must be completed before starting the program in the fall. And Tracy, I'm going to have you take this one. This is covering the occupational therapy doctorate compared to the master's in OT.
Great. So our beloved profession is a dual entry profession. So what that means is that you can be an entry-level practitioner with a Master of Occupational Therapy or an entry-level doctorate. So the Master of Occupational Therapy gets you out into the field with approximately a year plus faster and with less debt incurred for less money, as it says on our slide here. So you have the same rights and responsibilities and obligations that a master's or an entry-level OTD practitioner would have. You all have to pass the NBCOT board certification in occupational therapy, and then you would have to be licensed in the state with which you want to practice. That is the same. So what we like to suggest here at Bay Path is that you pursue the MOT program and then go out, work, and then you can come back for our post-professional occupational therapy doctorate and fully specialize at that point with what it is that you would like to do in your future career. So you get in maybe a year or less, or 5 years, or 10 years. What I want you to hear, though, is that when you come back to Bay Path as an MOT alum, we honor 3 of the MOT classes in the post-professional OTD courses. So instead of 36 credits, you'll be taking 27 credits. So I think that that's something to highlight as a cost saving, and then also the ability to really know with which direction you want to be specializing in. So you really could hone in and obtain that post-professional terminal occupational therapy doctorate at the point in your career when you select where you want to specialize. I'm trying to think if there's anything else in regards to the MOT versus the OTD. I don't think so.
All right, so there is student financial services, which I did touch on a few slides ago. The financial services team is there for you from the time you submit your application and even before, all the way until you graduate. You have access to reaching out to them via phone, email, or in person. And they do have Stafford loans available for graduate programs. It is limited up to $20,500 a year or $100,000 for the degree. We always suggest that you review all the information on NetPartner, the Student Financial Services online portal, and to reach out to the team as soon as possible. You don't need to wait until you get accepted. They also do have Financial Aid TV, which is a great resource for financial aid information. They have short 60 seconds or less videos, and you can also always make an appointment with a counselor at Student Financial Services via the link in the slide. And admissions requirements. So for your application for the Master of Occupational Therapy on-campus program, you must have completed or be almost finished with your bachelor's degree from an accredited college or university with a preferred GPA of a 3.0 or higher. You will apply through OTCAS and submit the following documents directly through OTCAS. These include all official college and university transcripts, a personal statement, your current resume, 2 recommendations, and then a signed essential functions form. And here is the main entrance of the Philip H. Ryan Health Science Center in East Long Meadow. This is where all of your classes will be held. It is Tracy's home. And then this is the first floor of the Philip H. Ryan Center. And if I'm not mistaken, you can get coffee there, you can get snacks, there's little vending machines, there's these wonderful study rooms and study areas for you to sit and relax. You can work on homework, you could not work on homework, but it's a nice little area to just take a breather in between those classes. And then the second floor, Tracy, correct me if I'm wrong, this is your main area for when you're doing your classes. So we have, your course room where you'll be doing most of your work. You have your lab areas, a little kitchen area where you can store your lunches and any snacks since you'll be there all day. More common areas for you to sit and study and do homework. And then these are the discipline-specific labs, which Tracy, I'm going to pass this to you since you're more hands-on with this.
Sure. We have 4 occupational therapy specific labs. So we have our anatomy lab. The upper right-hand corner is actually one of our PA labs, but we do utilize the cross sections in those laboratories, in that laboratory. And we also share on the previous slide, there is actually what looks to be a gym. I'll give you a little bit of an update. We don't have pictures yet because it's still in development, but we actually have a simulation, a nursing lab simulation with high fidelity mannequins. So that's really exciting. We just don't have it set for pictures yet. The bottom right-hand corner, that is our physical disabilities lab. So that is where you do splinting, any of the neuro positioning, things such as that. We pull in from our storage area, the wheelchairs, everything such as that. And then also physical agent modalities are in that lab. To the bottom left is the pediatrics lab. That actually, the room right there, that's actually a lecture room. We have a full dedicated pediatrics lab with a full complement of all the modalities that you can imagine for pediatrics, swings, all that good stuff. And then we also have the anatomy lab, which has plinths and all of the models for our integrative anatomy class.
Great. And here is the model apartment, which I've heard so many cool things about. But Tracy, I will have you explain this as well.
Sure. So on the literally on the other side of the wall of those 4 labs is our model apartment. And as you can imagine, it is a fully functioning apartment. A bathroom, a kitchen, laundry, storage, living room, hospital bed. We have safe patient handling equipment, all of our wheelchairs, all durable medical equipment, pieces of durable medical equipment, such as commodes, tub benches, any of the adaptive equipment. It's all housed in that room. So we have adult classes that take place in there, pediatrics classes that come in there as well, in addition to the neurology classes are conducted in the model apartment. Nothing like being in someone's home to be an occupational therapist.
All right, and we have reached the commonly asked questions. These are just some of the questions that myself and Tracy are asked quite frequently, but of
Mhm.
course, if you have any other questions that aren't answered here, please feel free to reach out to me. I'm happy to help. So the first question is for you, Tracy. It is, what is the structure of the program like?
So the day, residential, traditional, all the terms that you can say, we say on campus program to help us distinguish. So in an earlier slide, Gabby shared that we're from 8 to about 5:30. So it's not the whole time. So what we do is we break everyone up by lab spaces of up to 12. So our labs are never any larger than 12. So your lectures are 24 or less, and then your labs are 12 or less. And then what happens is that you maybe have a lecture, and then half of you will go to a lab, and then the other half has a break. And then, or maybe the other half will go to a different lab. And we stagger the experience throughout the day. Everyone breaks at lunchtime, faculty and staff and student. Everyone has a break at lunch for about 40-minute break at lunch to make sure that everyone takes that time for themselves and really can literally have a moment. So students go for a walk, they go down to the cafe, they go heat up their meals. We do have a full 4 microwave, multiple refrigerator area for students to make their meals and do what they need. We have classes Mondays through Thursdays. We do ask that you be available for us on Fridays because what we have are called open blocks. So what happens, either open blocks are when level 1 field work is occurring or other enrichment type activities. People come in to speak, additional opportunities for open labs, things such as that are on the Friday open labs times from morning in the afternoon. So that's kind of how it looks. First, earliest you start is 8 o'clock. Latest you get out at the very latest is about 5 o'clock.
Awesome. One of the other questions is, I received my bachelor's degree over 10 years ago. Do I have to retake all of the prerequisites?
Okay. So we believe in a holistic assessment when you apply. So my suggestion is that you apply, and there is information on the admissions website that speaks about additional information that speaks to your ability to write information that supports what were you doing in these past years. So again, we're very holistic. So if you're someone who is in a medical field, that would come into play. If you meet the B- or higher, depending on what your work experience is, we may, depending on how your entire application looks, we may have conversations about how we would accept it based on your work experience. Okay? But definitely hard and fast on the 10 though. Just in general, we can't get super old on many things, but like a year or so. But again, a holistic review. And we ask that you allow us, give us that time to have those conversations with you so we can come up with a very good plan.
Awesome. Is there on-campus housing for graduate students? There is. It is actually on our Long Meadow campus. So it's about 10-minute drive to the Ryan Center. It is only for graduate students, and it is a mixed dorm style. So you will have some males if they choose to dorm. There's also the option for you. There also is apartments in the area if you didn't want to stay in a dorm. So there's many on and off campus housing options for you.
I will point out if you live on campus, there is transportation provided. There is a bus that you obviously have to schedule yourself, but usually what happens is there are individuals that are coming from the Long Meadow campus up and over to the East Long Meadow campus. So the bus comes and drops them off at like 7:30 in the morning and then comes and picks them up at the end of their day based on everyone's schedules.
Do all of my prerequisite courses have to be complete before applying to the program? No, they do not. As I mentioned before, as long as you are currently taking them or you are planning to take them and they are completed by the start date of the fall semester, you are all set. So I always encourage you to apply even if you have 0 prerequisites done.
What we would lovingly say is you are a conditional accept. based on
Exactly.
how you look on that, because we score everyone on a rubric, takes into some of the information I was talking about with the second bullet point. So everyone scores on the rubric, and then it would be a conditional accept based on needing to complete whatever prerequisite classes you still have to complete with a B- or higher.
Exactly. How much time should I plan to spend on coursework? This is a very popular question.
You want to make sure when you're preparing for, if you think about it, 1 credit hour, we'll go it this way. 1 credit hour is one prep, 1 hour of prep, 1 hour of in class, and 1 hour after class. So for every credit, think 3 hours at a minimum. What I also like to emphasize and stress with students, if you're involved in any sort of assignments that you're like, this is taking a long time, that's a good point to reach out to your faculty and clarify, making sure that you're heading in the right direction towards the assignment, that you're actually you understand what's being asked of you, and that you're not spending too much time.
How do you help students prepare for the NBCOT exam?
Oh, this is a service that I don't think we advertise enough. So what occurs is that in the program, before you go out on your field work, everyone takes the OT knowledge exam. It's called the OTKey. So with those results and they're at certain points, we take ours before you go on your level 2 field work. So after all of your education, your didactic work is done, you take this. And then those results are then analyzed. And then we have a fieldwork seminar class that is occurring while you're on your level 2 fieldwork. And the director of clinical education, our academic fieldwork coordinator, Dr. Amanda Lazat, works with you to analyze your results on the OTKey, and then also to help you develop a study plan for the boards. The program also provides the study pack for NBCOT as well as TrueLearn. So TrueLearn is another software system platform that allows you to practice via gamification, via multiple questions, via Picmonics, ways that you can further explore and practice and study for the NBCOT boards.
Awesome. And last question is, will I be able to work while completing this program? I would say no, but Tracy, this is up to you.
I say you can to a certain point. So you want to think about, I mean, we can't limit anyone from working.
Yeah.
But I always tell folks that you could do a couple hours, like you could do like a one weekend day, something along those lines, an evening here, an evening there, but you have to be very regimented. And there are some times that those who work, they are more dedicated with the time that they have. So really it comes down to knowing yourself, knowing how you can stay focused, and then also reaching out to all the support that we have that Gabby went over at BayPath. So we definitely have quite a bit of support. One thing that we didn't really mention too much is academic coaching. And those individuals really help you with things like time management, test taking strategies, how to study, how to really make sure that you are maximizing your time and you're ready. So if maybe you only have 2 hours one evening, you already have all the pre-work done. So when you're studying, you're already organized and ready to study, as compared to getting yourself organized and really only being able to study a fraction of the time that you had available to you.
Great. Awesome. Thank you, Tracy.
Thank you.
And here is both of our contact information. So any program specific, course credit transfer specific questions, you are more than welcome to reach out to myself, of course, or Tracy. But I am usually your go-to gal for any of the admissions questions. You can see my number here and my email. It's also on the BayPath website under the Master of Occupational Therapy on Campus program. Again, it was a pleasure having you watch this video. And if you have any other questions, please feel free to reach out to us. Thank you so much.